What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tuck. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Torching Time podcast. I'm joined, like last time, by my friend TJ. TJ, say hello to the lovely people.
Hello, people. I made the cut. I got to return.
He is very insightful on things. Real quickly before we start, let's do some proper introductions. My name is Why the Tuck, at Why the Tuck on all social medias. I am Why the Tuck across the board. I didn't mention that for the people that weren't seeing what was on screen last time for the audio people. And along with that, for you audio people or people on YouTube interested in listening on different platforms, we are on every audio platform with the exception of Apple Podcasts because they will not let me claim my podcast. So there will be a link in the YouTube description to all the audio platforms. And if you just want to find us, Torching Time Podcast on every audio platform. Now, I guess just to catch people up to date with what we've been doing, let's talk about our last 2 weeks since we've recorded in the realm of esports. I'll let you start because I want to see where you take this answer.
We've gotten shit on in GBs every single night.
I mean, to be fair, we weren't.
Well, yeah, but as a team, we've been getting shit on.
I mean, that's not fair. We went round 11 that one round. I don't count Crossroads. I don't count anything that happens on Crossroads.
We get stuck with Armada fucking whatever strike is it? It's strike, right? Armada strike.
When did we? Oh fuck!
We always get stuck on Armada.
We did play Armada.
We play a best of 3, and it is constantly fucking Armada.
Armada. Okay, Game Battles admins, this is going to be directed at you. Please take Armada Strike out of S&D variant for Game Battles. It is the least competitive map I think I've ever played, and it offers nothing in terms of achievement or tactics. If the tactic for my default strat on that map is to jump off the edge of the map, which should kill me in real life, and then zip line up to the B-bomb site and head glitch, that's not a good tactic. There's nothing there. It is not a good map. It's not. Taking big map and making it smaller does not equal good map.
I mean, I don't know. Crossroads it can work.
Crossroads is entirely too small, at least for S&D, and then for respawn, the spawn points are they exist. Spawn points, you can spawn back, you can respawn.
I played an 8's lobby yesterday or the day before and dropped a 50 bomb on it, so I can't really complain.
I mean, I'm not going to debate that it's not fun to play. Always having high interactions on a map is fun, but just from a base map design, it's the same issue. They took a big map, made it smaller, added kill barriers. It's not meant to play on that size of a map. That's why the spawns don't make sense. That's why P3 will never work. They moved the hardpoint from behind the giant rock to the mesh area to by the road, but they didn't eject. Is that P4? What's P3?
P3 is inside of BS&D, like fire.
The rotation from 3 to 4 is 20 feet?
Yes, literally.
Alright, so let's add that to the list of fuckery. They don't utilize the ice side of the map at all. I would love to.
I mean, as a hard point, that'd be kind of difficult to do because it's so wide open.
I mean, yeah, but there's been hard points like that in other maps. Like P1 from Yemen hardpoint in BO2. That was a bridge.
If they was to do it, I guess they could just put it around where the A-bomb is, and then people could heady on the crates.
I just think the hard points.
If they was to actually give a shit.
Well, I mean, P1, it would just be a mirror of P1. P1's a contest hill. Yeah. P4 at that rate would just be a hill no one gets time on.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't care. I just think there's no use of the ice side of the map other than a flank route for P2.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. The map has potential, but it's just not well thought out for some of the things. And the spawns just, I don't think there's any fixing the spawns. I think you just have to put the hard points in a place that don't mess with the spawns.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I like the way that they moved P4 because before they moved it, people were literally spawning in the hill on that back rock.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that needed to change. There was
at least now somebody can set top cat and catch them as they're crossing.
Yeah, let's not.
Top fire.
I would really like them to take Crossroads out of 4v4 S&D variant as well, but yeah. I'm ultimately a nobody. The pros are going to be playing it, which is going to segue into our not our next topic, a future topic on the list I have. But I guess one last thing on this, because we mentioned it before we move on to the next topic, is if you guys are interested in seeing our struggles in the game battles matches, I upload them to my channel, and then there's also supercuts uploaded to the TeamFeeki YouTube channel at WhyTheTuck and at TeamFeeki on YouTube. Just look for the thumbnails that have to do with game battles matches, and you'll find it. Or I can link playlists in my description for YouTube. People on audio platforms, I doubt you like YouTube anyway.
You just gotta type that shit in.
Just type it in, just search WhyTheTuck, you'll find me. Now, moving from that topic on to the next topic, this is going to be a quick one. We're going to have to update our power rankings list because Paris announced their roster.
Do we really have to update it, though?
Well, that's where we're going to get to. The roster, Paris finally announced the roster like literally a day after we recorded the last podcast because I guess just a big middle finger to me and my timing. The announcement for their roster is Scraps, Fire 40, Aqua, and Classic. Now, this is gonna sound really dumb. They're still 12th on my power rankings, which is crazy for me to say that a team that has Scraps is the worst team in the league, but
I mean, just look at who's
Aqua. If this was a jetpack game, this is a top 3 team, because Aqua was really good at jetpacks. Classic was okay at jetpacks. He thrived with the Rampart in BO4. Without the Rampart, Classic's a 0.8 to a 0.9 SMG player, and then Fire 40, no offense to you, brother, I don't know you. If you ever find this podcast, nothing against you, I just didn't pay attention to Challengers last year, I don't know who you are.
He played with Parasite a little bit last year.
Like, that's the one reason I do know who he is.
Yeah, that's the only reason I know who the hell he is.
But, like, let's scroll up to last week and just compare it to our number 11 team, which was the London Ravens.
Yeah.
Trey, Shawnee, Dylan, and Alex. That roster, even though it's one rank above them in terms of the power rankings list, is so much better than Paris. I can't put it on paper. I can't put it into words. Dylan and Alex alone could probably 2v4 the Paris roster. Like, that's obviously a joke. I understand Paris is a pro team and they scrim in practice just as hard as everybody, but I want to know what happened. Like, Wuskin and Scraps don't have a beef with each other, do they?
As far as I know, they don't.
So, like, why is Wuskin not on this team instead of Classic?
I'm assuming Paris probably signed whoever would have been in Wuskin's spot already, like prior to signing Scraps, or they just didn't want the twins because maybe that was an issue on whenever they were in London. Maybe them being together wasn't what a team wanted, and maybe that's why they didn't even end up back on London.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just looking at the roster. I'm assuming Aqua's the main AR. Wuskin, no offense to Yuli, Wuskin's better than Yuli.
Right, that's why I'm assuming that they probably already had Aqua signed before they signed Scraps.
I at least get him as a sub or something, bro. Do something.
Well, I mean, that's still possible.
It is still possible. Is it likely? I don't think so. There's some fuckery happening behind the scenes that we're never going to know about, like why John isn't playing anymore.
Nobody's heard from John. Like,
bro, the last I heard about John is that he was blacklisted because he slept with someone's girlfriend. That is legitimately the story that is the story I heard, and that is what I'm taking at face value moving on with my life. John went from being John went from being an MVP at Champs to placing second at Champs to being one of the best SMG players, if not the best SMG player in World War II, to being an above average to good SMG player in BO4, and then just wasn't in the league or associated with anything in the league in MW.
I know he was 100% blacklisted for Modern Warfare. Like, he could not play in it for whatever reason.
I know that too, and like the story I heard was he slept with someone's girlfriend, but that might have just been a joke. There has to be something else. Like,
but I don't know why he hasn't tried to make a comeback or came back.
I mean, to be honest, bro, he made a lot of money. He might not want to. He made a lot of money in a short amount of time, and he's probably still getting payouts because of how long those processing times take. He probably just wakes up every other fucking day and gets like a $5,000 check from 2013. But, so yeah, Paris announced their roster. They didn't move up in the power rankings at all, which is still mind-blowing to me that a team that has Scraps is not a good team.
I mean, I feel like they might be able to move, but like as it stands right now, no.
But
I heard Fire is actually going off in scrims. but that's hearsay, so who really knows?
Dude, I wouldn't know. Whenever I look up on the timeline or YouTube for scrims, Paris is never one of the teams that pops up. Probably because they didn't exist until recently, but
yeah, they were on the DL.
Which, like, fortunately for them taking this long to announce a team isn't going to impact them negatively, because
they're Paris.
The entire GA thing that we're going to talk about next is going to change the meta, and then there's another 2 months until the first event, so they still have 2 months of practice. I just don't think those 2 months of practice are going to help them, but like I said in the last episode of the podcast, the adding in of the double elim tournament major style events is going to help teams like Paris, because from history, I know that bad teams don't do well in league match settings. Like Epsilon from World War II, when they finally won their match, it's one of the most viewed videos from the World War II season, whenever they beat Envy. I was watching that match live, and I was laughing my ass off the entire time. Because this was like right after Temp was talking shit about Nade Shot and Sensor, and then he loses to fucking Epsilon. But I hope the best for them. As long as they're not playing Optic, I hope the best for them. I just don't see a lot of good things happening this season from them, especially considering the management for the team they're playing under.
Right. I mean, I feel like if Scraps and Fire can put something together, they might be able to, but...
That's the other thing that I'm worried about, is Scraps is such a meme lord. Will he take this seriously if they start underperforming?
Exactly.
Because like this is another throwback to the BO4 League season when they were getting ready to play their match on like the MLG stream or the Twitch stream, and there was a countdown happening on the screen, and Nameless posted a clip to Twitter of Scraps standing by the countdown screen. There was like 13 seconds left, and my man was eating a pork chop when he had to be in his seat playing in 20 seconds. But whatever, we hinted at it. We're going to move on to the updated GA list, which if you look in the channel, there is a link that will take us to those updated GAs.
That got bright. Holy.
Yeah, this is a very light mode thing.
Yeah.
Alright, so before we hop into this, we need to do some vocabulary lessons, because I realize not everybody that's going to watch this is going to be a competitive COD enthusiast. So we're going to run down some lists of terms real quick that I can think of off the top of my head, starting off with the name of the podcast, Torching Time. What is Torching Time? It's basically wasting someone else's time whenever there's a scheduled event. So if I tell TJ we're recording the podcast at 6 o'clock and then I show up at 6:15, I have officially torched 15 minutes of TJ's time. Gentlemen's agreements. Different from outright bans in the league. Gentlemen's agreements are the majority of the players that matter. So if I decide not to use the AK-47, my opinion on that doesn't matter, but the majority of the players whose opinions matter within a realm of whatever they're in will just take a majority vote, and they'll say not to use this. That is what we're going to talk about right now. The majority of the players have agreed not to use this, so everyone else that was in the minority has to abide by the majority vote. So, with that said...
Hold on. What happens if they don't follow GAs?
If they don't follow GAs, let's say off the top of my head, let's say Havoc decides he doesn't want to follow what Crim6 says. Havoc plays for Florida. Florida will never get a scrim the rest of the season until they start playing by the GA rule set that the pros have agreed on. So if you don't follow this list, other teams will just not play you, and then you don't get practice, and you get worse, and you're punished in that way. You're essentially...
in BO4.
Didn't that happen to who?
Classic in BO4, because he wanted to use it.
Oh yeah, Classic was blacklisted for like a few weeks in BO4 because he wanted to run the Rampart after he figured out it was a cheat code, and then the rest of the league wanted to ban it.
Yep.
So, and then just other terms to throw out real quick before we start talking. Chalked basically means you're going to give up on something. It's over. There's no point in continuing to try. Just chalking something up and then moving on with your life. And then there's another term I had written down, but I don't know where that list went, so we're going to talk about the GAs. Starting from the top to the bottom, the tactical rifles. These things should be banned, but people at the CDL just don't use their brains when they think.
It's going to be, I'm sure of it, it just hasn't been updated yet.
I hope so. So, the GA list, not the official ban list, the GA list, the things the players have agreed not to use. Tac rifles, that means the AUG. The M16, the DMR-14, the Type 63, I have no problem with that because the DMR and the Type 63 are just annoying. And then the AUG and the M16 are outright broken.
Yeah.
Moving down the list, assault rifles. The AK-47 has been officially GA'd by pro players. I don't necessarily think that needed to happen, but then again, I don't play with pro players. I know the AK-47 is very good, but I've always preferred the Krig, so the pro players seem to like that from what I've seen on Twitter. The AK-47 apparently in the hands of the best people on the planet, I guess, is like giving an MLB player an aluminum bat and assuming that they wouldn't get better.
I don't like it.
Yeah, you wouldn't like it? Whatsoever. It's the only gun you're good with, bro. Ever since BO4, you've been the KN forehead.
Listen, realistically, I don't like it just because the AK is my favorite gun. But I can kind of understand how it would balance out better. I mean, yeah. Everybody could just run around with the AK and you could outgun subs, could outgun the Krig. Like, it didn't matter. So I get why they did it. I'm just kind of upset because it's the AK.
I don't think the AK was as broken as the launch FFAR, but the AK was definitely the do-it-all gun. There could be 4 AKs on the map and no one would ever suffer. The AK-47, rather, because there's a 74.
Right.
But
see, in the 8th lobby I played in the other day, I ran the AK-74U, and it felt great. Now that the AK-47 isn't on the map, it actually made the subs viable.
I didn't realize this until Accuracy pointed it out, because I was in Sensor's stream, I think, and he rated Accuracy. Accuracy was talking about the time to kills. I didn't realize this, that the AK-74 only kills in 1 less bullet than the Krig at any distance.
Yeah, the thing, it beams.
I knew it was a good gun, I just didn't know that was a hard fact. Then again, I guess I just miss a lot of shots at the 74 because I'm not used to its recoil pattern. It has a really goofy recoil pattern.
It's super weird, but after you get used to it, it's disgusting.
Speaking of SMGs, the KSP-45, I agree with that because it falls into the same category as the AUG and the M16, where it just one-bursts people for no fucking apparent reason.
That was like my second gun trying to get gold after I gave up on the whole black ether, whatever the hell bullshit, and that gun was garbage in pubs, but that's also because other people were running the M16 and stuff.
They buffed it, which I don't know why they buffed it, but like, I'm gonna throw this out there, just like another PSA to Treyarch. In a game with 150 health, burst weapons should never one burst kill somebody. Why is that a thing? Why does an SMG that shoots a 45 ACP round based on its name, I'm assuming that's what the 45 means, why does a 3-round burst 45 ACP SMG do 50 damage per bullet?
I mean, I get, so it makes it viable, but it doesn't make sense.
I mean, what was the, It wasn't. It was the, I'm having a brain fart. What was the really accurate SMG from BO4 that had the burst mod?
Shit.
It had the unicorn.
The GKS.
The GKS. Yeah, like the GKS had a burst attachment, but it didn't one burst.
I think it was garbage.
I mean, it was garbage in the realm of compared to the SOG and...
No, it was garbage all around.
The Corday. It was the worst SMG, but like, that was balanced. It wasn't... Not every gun in the game has to be the best gun in the game.
Right.
Which, best gun in the game, speaking of pistols... The 1911's officially GA'd. Roger. The Magnum has also been GA'd. The 1911 falls into the same category as the KSP, where I get the 1911 is a back-to-back World War champ. Why does it 3-shot kill people? The 1911 has a quicker time to kill than my Krig.
And the AK.
And the AK. And the 74. That's what you tilted about the last time we ran GB, is you got first shot and somebody bottom playing on checkmate and they turned on you with a 1911.
Loss, complete and absolute.
Especially considering headshot multipliers aren't turned off.
Yeah.
The thing can 2-shot kill if it's right next to you, which I guess that's the same as the not the TAC 40. The 45 pistol in BO2. The really big one. It was supposed to be the Mark 23, but I don't remember what it was called.
I'm not sure.
I don't remember either. But pistols, 1911 Magnum. Magnum, yes. 1911, yes, to an extent. The Diamati's absolute garbage, but I guess that's the point of a sidearm.
See, I kind of don't agree with the Magnum, just because its fire rate was super slow. Like, I get, yeah, 2-shotted, but 9 times out of 10, by the time you get that second shot off, you're dead. Because I used it a few times in GBs, and it was not good.
I've never used the Magnum. My only experience with the Magnum is getting fucking memed with people running dual Magnums in pubs, and I just instantly die and don't get a chance to understand what happened to me.
That's probably why it got GA'd.
I mean, you're probably. I just. It's always the same. All Magnums are always banned. I don't like. What was the last game? What was the last game we played where the Magnum wasn't banned? Because it was banned last year too. GA'd rather not banned. I have to be careful with my terminology.
I mean, I get why, because it's a super strong pistol, but I don't know. I feel like the fire rate kind of balances it out, but that's just me.
Like
I
in
mean,
the grand scheme of things, the Diamatti will probably make things better. Air quotes. I'm not sure pistols really matter that much. They're just annoying to die to. It's not like somebody's gonna run around with a 1911 and just take over the map like Pharaoh in World War II with the duelist perk on.
or fucking simp with the strafe, was it?
Yeah, this. That's a good debate. 1911 or Strife.
Yeah, strife, whatever the fuck it's called.
I mean, they're the same gun effectively, but I guess
Yeah.
in the way the Strife had less recoil in the 1911, so I guess the Strife would be the better gun between those two.
Right, and I don't understand why that one didn't get GA'd, but this one is.
Because the RK7 and the Mozu were G8 and BO4. That was the only thing they had left.
Okay, that makes sense.
The RK7 was a pocket M16, and the Mozu
What's the
Mozu was a Magnum. That was also G8. So anyway, moving down the list, snipers. The hottest topic of the entire community, comp, pubs, anything. No sniper rifles in respawn. Hardpoint control, you're not allowed to use a sniper because apparently they're that good and that impactful on a map. And then one sniper allowed in S&D, which... yeah, whatever. I played against a dual sniper setup, but it's annoying in every game. I don't understand the difference between snipers in this game and snipers last year.
Right.
Other than the maps are more arcadey this year, and I guess it makes it easier for snipers to do that. I don't know. I'm still of the mindset that if they turned off aim assist and added flinch, the snipers would be balanced, but they're just never going to do that.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the one sniper in S&D, because I mean they are super annoying, and like on maps like, I don't know, Checkmate, you can literally have a sniper on both sides of the plane and you're pretty much set.
I mean, yeah, but here's where the other... is it mentioned below? It has to be mentioned below. Yeah, we're limited to 2 smokes in S&D. Because thermals are G8. That's the next thing on the list is thermal sites are G8. So the counter to snipers is smoke grenades. That's where people have to use common sense and smoke off where the sniper's going to be and then play around that. Because unless the sniper gets a pick, the sniper's at a disadvantage. And you can argue, oh, snipers are good for quickscoping, which that's true, but that also has been the case in every COD. A pro player is going to be good with a sniper in any situation, compared to a normal player. Like, even players like Tupac. Not saying Tupac's bad, he's not a pro player, though.
Right.
But, like, the snipers are such a hot debate, I just don't see why the snipers this year are worse than last year. So, we already talked about thermal sights. Thermal sights need to be gone. GBs, please listen to that. Barrel Task Force. I get the Task Force ban because Task Force is adding
high caliber.
High cal, yeah, high cal to the SMGs, and the only gun that has high cal was the Krig, and it had built-in high cal, and they nerfed the high cal, so them getting rid of the headshot bonus on SMGs was a counterbalance to the Krig. So I'm okay with that one. It makes the SMGs have a better purpose. And the next one says all body attachments restricted. I don't know what that means.
Lasers. Lasers, flashlights, stuff like that.
Okay, yes, I knew about that one. That one's an old one. So all lasers and flashlights are restricted because hip fire is kind of cheap.
Yep.
The muzzle, KGB eliminator, and SOCOM. The KGB is horizontal recoil, and the SOCOM eliminator, I don't know what that one does, because I never used it.
I think that one, I'm pretty sure that one adds damage. I could be wrong with that, but I'm pretty sure that's the one that adds damage.
It might be. I don't know what it is, because I never used it. I know KGB is horizontal recoil. Wild cards, the perk agreed, so apparently that one's officially off the table if I ever run something outside of GBs. Lawbreaker is only allowed without overkill, that's an old one. Gunfight is allowed, that's a typo, gunfighter is allowed. Perk Gearhead. Gearhead is the one that lets you get your equipment quicker, I think.
So like your trophies, you get it significantly quicker.
Items. Lethals, Molotovs are off the table. Tacticals. No smoke grenades and hardpoint control. That one's a stupid one. I don't agree with that one. Outright getting rid of smoke grenades? No. Restricting them? Yes. Because smoke grenades are very annoying.
Right.
But I guess that's the point of rank
I think part of that has to do with your trophy systems don't destroy the smoke grenades half the time.
I mean, if that's the case, then that's an issue Treyarch needs to fix. Because
Exactly.
smoke grenades destroy tomahawks. Or do they? Science will do that later.
Okay.
Teams limited to 2 smokes and S&D. Like I said, I agree with that. Limit the smoke grenades. Don't outright get rid of them. Because especially the way this game works in Respawn, ARs posting up on head glitches is the meta. How do you counter head glitching ARs? You smoke them off. But field upgrade, teams limited to 3 trophies, and jammer. Jammer is banned. You can only use 3 trophies, which
and I mean, jammer basically gives you a counter UAV for that little bit of area.
Yeah, I know, but
so
that's score streaks. Teams are trialing artillery at 1600 score and cruise missile at 2000 score. That's a lot of kills for an artillery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wait.
I'm trying to think of how many points exactly you get for a kill, but I'm not sure.
It's 100.
Okay.
So you need 16 kills for an artillery? That can't be right.
I mean, it's score, so you also got like hard point time.
I mean, okay, fair enough, but
I feel like it should be a little bit lower though.
If you still go on an 8 kill streak in the hard point, you're still sitting at 1200.
Right.
And the score streaks don't reset on... They do reset on death in the competitive rule set. They're trialing that one, so I don't know about that one. I hope that one doesn't get passed, because that's going to make things boring. You have to go on a 20 kill streak to get a cruise missile. You're 2/3 of the way to a nuke and you have a cruise. Other miscellaneous things. Cartel, hardpoint is GA. They don't want to play that. That's going to get removed anyway. And then auto sprint must be disabled, which I guess that matters to pro players. I don't think it really matters that much.
It's partially just the stuff from last year coming over.
Probably. The only issue I have with auto sprint must be disabled is, one, I never turned auto sprint enabled on, so
right.
I never had that turned off. And then 2, if I was a pro player, because I know just me playing the amount I play, I literally have a dent in my left thumb. So
yeah, I just looked down at my thumb. Definitely, there's a dent.
So we'll move on to the challengers talk. The number 1 team is Lag AC, which I'm guessing stands for Los Angeles Guerrillas Academy. So that team consists of Exceed, Chino, Mental, and I don't know who that last person is. S4?
Neuro.
Who?
Wait. Neuro Poison?
Oh, Nero,
whatever.
Not the YouTuber that had a mental breakdown, the competitive player. They have 1,300 pro points apiece. I'm not sure how this works. Like, I understand the team that has the most pro points is going to be the top team, but
somehow they're doing something where you play a match and you get a certain amount of pro points. I'm not exactly sure how many pro points.
If it's the same as it was in World War II, the last time Optic had to play for pro points, which is the last time I had a reason to care, every day you have to play matches to get like 5 to 10 pro points, and then you're limited at 4 matches a day or something. So you have to play 4 matches a day, 5 pro points, and then the last match I think is 15. And so you're limited to 30 pro points a day.
That's kind of dumb.
I mean, it's the point of a grind, but at the same time, that's dumb. It was a flawed system back in World War II.
You shouldn't have to play it every single day.
I mean, you don't have to. That's the point of it. That's the one reason it's a flawed system, because the best teams aren't going to fucking grind pro points every day. The best teams are going to be entering, like, scrims with pro teams. They're going to be playing in CMG tournaments to get reps against, like, nerds that play S&D.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the pro point system's a flawed system. However, the number one team on the leaderboard right now is Exceed Chino Mental, the Gears of War player that transitioned, and then Nero Poison, assuming he is the last person who's named S4 on Game Battles.
Yeah.
So,
whenever I looked at the name,
that's a good team. Chino, good player, solid AR, MVP in World War II. Last time there was 4v4 COD. Exceed's a good player. Mental, world champion Gears of War player. I don't know much about him as a COD player.
I mean, he just switched over this year, so it's hard to.
Yeah, I know. King Crew, who are you? The number 2 team on the ladder? It's Goonjar, Zed, and Dens. That's the team that Sensor got dropped from.
Yep.
So that team is going to be Goonjar, Zed, Dens, and then Jerd.
Yep.
That's a good team. I don't really have anything to say beyond that. Goonjar is always like one of the ARs I feel like should be in the Pro League, but he never quite makes it because of outside factors I don't know about, I'm sure. Zed's been in the Pro League, Dens has been in the Pro League, and then Jerd. Was Jerd in the Pro League last year?
No.
He was in the Pro League on BO4 because he played under Splice. I don't remember what Jerd did last year. Did Jerd play at all last year?
I don't think so. I think he took a year off.
Jerd, like I said, if you ever listen to this, I apologize. I don't know what you did last year. Maybe you were one of the 20 people that Toronto had on their roster.
That's actually possible. I'm not sure.
I know that's where Bance was. Bance is. Number 3 team is Ghostbusters.
I don't know a single one of them.
Me either. I'm glad you guys are third on the Pro Points leaderboard, though. Oh, I think I know Evade. That is the only one I know.
Skywalker kind of sticks out, like Rupert. But I'm not 100% sure.
Well, here's the thing. There's more than 4 people on this team, so I don't know who the 45 are. Starting 4 are. I cannot talk right now. I'm trying to do Challengers stuff. You guys have to bear with me for Challengers talk, because there's not a lot available to me. Like, unless the people I follow on Twitter are the people that are on these rosters, I don't know who does what, because the Game Battles just does not update anything. Like I was telling TJ before we started, I went to the Game Battles website to find the winners of the past 2 Challengers Cups, and there was nothing under the bracket. There were no teams in the tournament, I guess. This is where these idiots making content would help me out, like, exponentially. Because that's how I know about players, is through content or watching them on main stage, and none of these guys are on main stage, so... I'm not even going to try to pronounce the 5th team.
It's just a bunch of random letters.
It's Bullseye, TCM, and Mosh, and Katani. Fun fact, Bullseye, TCM, and Mosh... Maybe not Mosh, definitely Bullseye and TCM were one of the teams that approached me last year to play under us. Like I said, a lot of the top tier teams that I know are on the Challengers side of things aren't even in the top 5 on this. Like, whatever team Fellow played for, is that Triumph Gaming? They're not here. Wester isn't here. Yeah, these are just people I don't know. Like, this is why Challengers talk is so hard. I don't know any of these players unless I watch them play, and like, the organizations they're on don't force them to make content, so I just don't know who they are. Also, considering last year... Oh, there goes my pen, lol.
Bye, have a great time.
Especially considering last year, there was no stream for Challengers matches until, like, the last 2 events. So I'm sure these people were absolutely fucking frying in Challengers, but I just never got to see it because there was no Challenger streams. Yeah, whatever. This list doesn't really provide much. The top team is the LA Academy team, or the LA Gorillas Academy team, and then they just have players I know. Outside of that, I don't really have a lot of input on the players I don't know about, but Wester, the team that's won the 2 Challengers Cup, is Paul X, Zaptius, Venom, and Tom Gravity. So that's a squad of people that probably could be the Paris team, but they
probably should have been the Paris
probably
team.
should have been the Paris team. Zaptius was in the Pro League last year, or the year before. Was it last year?
It was BO4.
He definitely played in BO4, I know that. Tom Gravity played for FaZe Academy in BO4 and won an event with Simp. Venom is a name I know, and then Paul X is a name that I've recently discovered because of the competitive highlights YouTube channels that steal other people's content and re-upload them. So I know,
I think yesterday.
I don't know, but I know this squad has been scrimming a lot of pro teams, so I know they are above and beyond accepted as the best amateur team right now.
Yeah, Venom's disgusting.
So then we talk about other teams like Parasite's team, him, Decimate. I'm blacking again.
Good luck with that. That switched so many times I couldn't even tell you.
Did they already drop more players?
It wouldn't surprise me at this point.
Unless something crazy. Oh, he's a free agent? Yep, he got dropped.
Yeah.
Or Parasite.
I don't even know, like, because he's a good player. It makes no sense. I mean, I get he's a fucking dick.
I mean, this is going to bring up a top. Is it the next topic? It is the next topic. Parasite got dropped from his old team because he didn't get along with Blast, and then Blast said he wasn't competing this year anyway.
Right.
So that probably wasn't even Parasite and Blast not getting along. That was Blastful just not giving a fuck.
Yeah, pretty much. It wouldn't surprise me if he ended up back with those guys, like not at Blast.
I mean, maybe replace Blast with Decimate rather. Because he tweeted out 2 days ago and probably last night as well, because I was in attack accuracy stream whenever Sensor rated him. Parasite's playing 8s with pros. Like, the pros respect him as a player, just they don't want to fucking play with him.
Yep.
There is nothing on Parasite's timeline about teaming with anybody.
He's made a shitty name for himself.
Yeah, but people can change, and I feel like Parasite has changed, but he's just always going to be stuck with the stigma that was Black Ops 3 and before Parasite.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you listen to the things Parasite says, he has the same problem as Crim6, but Crim6 is just a better player, and people want to play with Crim. He has the same issue as Ian, Crim6, where they're right in what they're saying, but they present their arguments like absolute fucking idiots, and they make it sound like they're telling people that they don't have thumbs. Like, the one argument from Black Ops 3 where Parasite got dropped on stream from Complexity, he was telling his teammates he wanted better information whenever they got a call out. Or, like, something along the lines, like, you need to play faster, and Parasite's like, I don't know what that means, tell me what you want me to do, don't give me a blanket statement, and then that just devolved into a fucking pissing match.
Right. Like,
Parasite wasn't wrong in what he said, but the way he presented his argument makes him an unlikable person.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, whenever they were pre-landing for World War II champs at the Hex quarters, and Crim6 put a Astro mix-amp through one of Hex's walls, because he got into an argument with Octane, I think.
Wait, really?
Yeah, that was talked about on... It was either Nameless's podcast, or it was on the Eavesdrop. Crim got so mad at, I think it was Octane, that he literally picked up a mix-amp and threw it, and it went into Hex's wall, and Hex was like, no, this is my place. You're gonna pay me for the mix-amp and the damage to my wall, but you're never gonna do that again.
It had to have been on Nameless's podcast, because I never listened to it until, I think, the last one he just posted.
Nameless's podcast is the one thing that actually gave me enjoyment during the World War II season.
That makes sense.
But players leaving, we just talked about it for Blast, players leaving COD esports for Warzone. It's a very tough decision for a lot of them, I know, because Call of Duty's probably all they know, competitive COD. For me, it boils down to one, can you justify the decision based on the amount of money you're making? Because Blast is one of the few people that can transition out of competing, giving up a salary and still being okay because they have a large social media and Twitch following, and probably YouTube if he wanted to do that, but I don't know if he does, and I'm not sure if he will. But
I think he might if he's going to Warzone.
I mean, he's going to have to. If he's leaving competing to be a full-time Warzone content creator, he has to make content. That's one of the requirements for having the title content creator.
Right. And I mean, he definitely could. I mean, all you got to do is just clip a game and post it.
Especially for someone like him who already has a following, which is one of the perks of being good naturally and having a fan base just from being naturally good at things, is you don't have to work as hard when it comes to content because people will just watch you. Like Shroud. Shroud is one of the most vanilla human beings on the planet, but he's a god at video games, and that's why people watch him. So whenever he does eventually have a personality, people are like, "Huh! Wow! That's a 3 million view video waiting to happen."
Yeah.
Now, there are other players, like... Now, these people are out there because they weren't competing at the time. They decided to go to Warzone, like Merc, Crowder, Muddog, and Maven. That's more so just a question mark for me, because their jobs revolve around COD esports, but they're not doing... Let me rephrase that. They're actively promoting something that isn't what they do for, like, an actual living. Like, content creation, they make a lot of money. I know they do. I don't have to see analytics to know that Merc makes a lot of money from just streaming Warzone, but his actual job at the moment is a Call of Duty esports commentator.
Right.
And it just kind of irks me the wrong way to see people like him and TP and Maven not even playing, like, game battles matches like they did back in the day. Like, I would be willing to bet that a lot of people that watch Maven stream don't know what his actual job is.
Yeah, I listened to their hard points, I think, yesterday. I don't know, it was posted a while ago, but I finally got around to listening to it. And Crowder was on there saying that, like, there's still people that don't know competitive Call of Duty exists.
Which is actually...
Like, whenever he has to get off for scrims or whatever, they always ask him why he gets off so early.
Which...
And he has to, like, explain it to him.
Which is going to be one of the questions we talk about at the end of the podcast, so I'm not going to go too in-depth with it right now, but...
No.
Yeah, just, like, it's weird. Like, I understand Warzone's very popular. Whether I agree with why Warzone is popular, I can't deny that it is popular. I just wish that Activision would just, do things to help. I don't really have a lot... this is more just like an open discussion. I don't have any objective points for COD esports players leaving for Warzone. It was just kind of more of a talking point.
It's just one of those things. I mean, as long as they're still making the money that they would have been, if not more, then, I mean...
Like, that's if you can justify doing it and you're just genuinely not enjoying the cycle of teaming with a new player, a new team every week, then sure, dip and just be a content creator, play Warzone with your friends, get your bag. If someone gets the bag and they're getting the bag doing something else, I don't care. I respect the hustle, but at the same time, if you're someone that's, like, on the level that I would be working with, and you're leaving COD esports for Warzone as, like, a job idea, like, if you just completely quit doing everything to be a full-time content creator, I would question why you're doing it.
Right.
Because you can back me up or argue with me on this point if I'm not right, but I feel like you've made more money competing in COD than you have from, like, streaming.
Yeah.
So, like, that's just... It comes down to an enjoyment thing. Like, if it's an enjoyment thing, sure. Enjoy whatever you want to enjoy. Just don't use it as a business model justification, because you're not going to make more money. You're leaving a less saturated market to play in the most saturated market on the planet. That's not a good business decision. So, basically, my TLDR for anybody that might be listening, if you want to quit COD esports, whether it be a mental decision, an enjoyment decision, just justify it based off of those two things. Don't give me the money excuse, because that's not true. You're not going to make more money streaming Warzone. Unless you just decide to pop off for whatever reason. If you want to go back and play Blackout, you'll probably make a lot more money going back to play Blackout than streaming Warzone. Because of the saturation thing. But I digress. My final topic is just the Q&A. A lot of people sent me the same question. I narrowed it down. Now, before we do anything else, I'm going to check Twitter and Instagram because I asked for people to give me questions. No one on Twitter gave me anything, so I'm just going to delete that.
Eternal had one in the chat.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
No one asked me anything publicly on Twitter. Then let me check Instagram real quick. And no one asked me anything on Instagram. The perks of me forgetting to do it last night and asking 30 minutes before the podcast. So let me get Eternal's question. Eternal's question. TeamFeeki on Twitter asks, well, what are your thoughts on different gun metas in a game's life cycle? Would you rather have different metas or keep using the same gun strats? Now, I didn't really like the question, Eternal. I appreciate the question. I just don't think it's a good one. Because, one, every video game on the planet has an evolving meta. If the game is like other games that aren't COD, where the game is meant to last forever just with updates, there's always an evolving meta, so that just kind of comes with the life cycle of the game. The only reason the meta changes in COD is because weapons will get nerfed or buffed immediately, or they'll just be agreed not to use. So, like, it depends what you're asking the question of, because, like, games like League of Legends, they have to have an evolving meta to keep that game alive. They have to add in new characters, new abilities, new skins, etc., right?
Yeah.
And then there are the other games like Counter-Strike, where Counter-Strike has been the same game for basically 20 years with the exception of a few tweaks to gun balance and map designs with certain things. I lean more towards the side of Counter-Strike weapon game balancing and updates, because that has just always been what I've done. Like, my entire life, I've played traditional sports. I played baseball, like I said in the last podcast. If you suddenly told me one day that I had to start pitching from 70 feet instead of 60 feet, I'd be a little pissed. I'm of the mindset that I would rather there be a set way things work, and then I could progressively get better at that one thing until I've reached my peak. So that's where I like the Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike's been the same game forever. You have to get really good at what Counter-Strike is, and then you compete against other people that have progressively been getting better at what Counter-Strike is. That's what I want COD to be, kind of, but that's not possible with a game that changes every year.
Yeah, I 110% agree. Like, I like the fact that as soon as the game comes out, that's what you have, unless, I mean, a nerf or something. But, like, if it changes too often, people are going to lose interest and not want to get better.
Oh, that's another point I had. Oh, I had a... I'm trying to think.
COD's returning.
I had a really good thought earlier, then I forgot to write it down, and I just remembered it because it was what you just said.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's one of the answers to the next question. So,
okay.
I've given my thoughts on that. Do you have anything else to add to what you just said about...
Not really. I mean, I like the idea of it being the same meta throughout the entire year, and then as a new game comes out, then there's a new meta.
Like, ideally, I would love Call of Duty to be exactly like Counter-Strike in the way that it's just the same game, with the only time you have to adapt is whenever they add a new map into the rotation. That would be my ideal Call of Duty. I would... Go ahead.
I like the whole every year you gotta adapt and change it up and find new guns and get used to new maps.
But you see, that's where I disagree, because, like, especially this game compared to, like, BO4. Cold War is BO4. The guns are just different guns. The Maddox is the AK. Maybe not the AK, but you get my point.
Yeah.
The Krig is the ICR. The MP5 is the SOG. The AK-74U is the other SMG people used. Maybe I have that backwards. The AK-74 is the SOG. Like, it's just reskinned guns. It's basically the same gun meta every year, but the maps are always different. And I'd rather prefer the same-ish guns, and then just have new maps brought in that we have to learn occasionally. Because, like, I don't know about you. I'm sorry for saying this, because this is going to make this podcast not safe for work. I would suck a dick for Hardpoint Seaside to come back.
Actually, 100%. Like, yeah, I enjoyed that map a lot.
I would do insanely disgusting things.
Even Control on that map. I feel like that map was super good.
It was, because there's elevation, there's interesting lanes, there's interesting connectors, there are points of interest you have to hold down. You have to have some tactic, because if you want to stream straight up banana, you're going to get gunned by the guy sitting on the fountain with the AR. If you want to push through orange on the right side, that bakery, the left side rather, if you're attacking uphill, you have to fight your way through the SOG player that's probably going to be in there, and the AR player. The best way to go about breaking the P3 hill on that map is going around the right side up the cliff, but the other team knows that, so they're probably going to have two players watching the back, and it comes down to just winning your gunfights and using your tacticals and lethals at that point. Like, there's a sense of strategy to that.
Exactly.
Like that, the Hardpoint Seaside at the moment in the game, Seaside was one of my least favorite maps to play because of how just nervous it made me. Right. But like looking back on it, it was a good map. It made for exciting moments. How many maps in pro play ended on Seaside Hardpoint going to P3? and it came down to which
For
team
sure,
was
like
better at
most
breaking 3P. It was a lot. I know Optic Gaming had 4 maps on Hardpoint Seaside where it came down to literally who won the rotation to P3 and then held P3.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like almost. I mean, I'm probably wrong on this, but a lot of the maps on that ended at like 250 to like 220.
Oh, it was closer than that most of the time. Like, it's a good map. Whenever the maps are that close, you know it's a good map. It just also made for a lot of exciting moments, and maybe I'm talking out of nostalgia because I still occasionally watch Crim6's video, the greatest hardpoint comeback ever, where they beat Splice on CWO Vegas, I think. Where Crim6 literally got a 4-piece in the hardpoint while healing and slide-shotting Looney. Like, maybe I'm just talking out of nostalgia, but Hardpoint Seaside is a map that I wish would come back.
Honestly, did Black Ops 4 have like a really bad map?
S&D... Oh... I don't remember the name of the map. The missile map with the tube in the middle. S&D on the map that had the bomb set on the catwalk.
Was that one really that bad?
It was the worst one, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, it was the worst one, but it wasn't that bad. It was still playable.
I mean, it was like one of those maps that was bad, but it was like a fresh breath air bad. A breath of fresh air bad, because it was like, oh.
Like, would you rather play on that or Crossroads?
Well, I mean, I've just said Crossroads is a flawed map. There's no saving Crossroads.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Crossroads is a bad map, and then you're saying that was the worst map of that game. Like, that's...
I get what you're saying, but...
I'm trying to compare the two worst maps.
Unless there's a map I'm just forgetting, yeah, that one's probably my least favorite. Maybe, Maybe... Alright, we have to think back to BO4. Hardpoint, Arsenal, Frequency, Hacienda. The fuck is the 5th map? We were just talking about it. Seaside.
Yeah, Seaside.
Seaside, and what was the 5th map? Arsenal, Frequency, Seaside, Hacienda.
Fuck.
It's amazing how I played over 1,000 hours in BO4 and I can't fucking remember what maps we played. Gridlock.
Yeah.
Gridlock S&D might be my answer for the worst for the worst map in that game. Maybe Gridlock Control. I'll say it's tough. If I had a set squad, Gridlock wouldn't have been that bad.
I gotta figure out what the fuck Gridlock was.
It was the map in Japan that had showers.
Oh.
And the bank truck that your teammate with the ICR would never leave when you were attacking the B side of Control.
Yeah. It's all coming back to me now. Fuck that map.
Yeah, we repressed that map. That's how we know that one's the worst.
Yeah.
But like even said, I still had fun playing that map.
Yeah, I mean, if you were frying on it, it wasn't horrible.
But let's move on because we have to finish up the cast soon.
Okay.
The next question comes from Dr. Dabs on Twitter. He asks a content question: why is trickshotting not popular as it was back in the day? And this is what I was saying about you talking about the ever-changing meta of a game. That's partially why trickshotting died, is because trickshotting is so convoluted that you have to learn new stupid mechanics every year. And that's kind of why it died, because it didn't progress along with the games.
Right.
That's basically the answer for that.
They kind of made it almost impossible to trick shot in some games.
That is true, though. They did make trick shotting impossible with the newer games, because I can't think of anywhere on BO4 where there's anything above like a 10-foot drop. Other than the voids that just fall off the map.
Right.
World War II, the only thing I ever saw a trick shot hit on was Gibraltar. Lethal, we're recording a podcast. We're finishing up. Get out. That's basically all of it. It's coming down to maps not being viable for the trick shotting in the future games, and then probably
I mean, the advanced movement didn't help at all.
Advanced movement actually helped a lot because they didn't need tall things to jump off. Then they just fucking went up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel like.
But that's the thing that turned a lot of people off, was the advanced movement trick shots, because whenever you spend 10 seconds in the air, what the fuck do you do?
Exactly. That's
the standards just got ridiculous in jetpack games. And then I dropped my fucking pen again. I hate it here.
Bye, pen.
I actually don't know where it went that time. We'll pick it up later.
Oof.
Alright, trick-shotting died because people lost interest in doing ridiculous things. Also, it's not really rewarding. Like, it is rewarding, but at the same time... personally, me, I trick-shot back in the day. I just got tired of wasting 5 hours of my life for nothing to show. I moved on to better things. I moved on to esports, which is the next question. Is how did you get into esports? So, back in Modern Warfare 2, which was my first COD, I got into competitive sniping. I didn't know what game battles was at the time. I didn't know that existed. I didn't know there was professional Call of Duty. Or whatever it was in 2009. I just played competitive sniping, which, for my competitive snipers out there, like Dashi, who eventually transitioned into mainstream COD esports, we competed on a YouTube channel, which was called Sniper Leaderboards, which ranked the top 1 to 50 teams that would compete in matches that they set up themselves. So it was essentially the same idea as game battles. But it was just a leaderboard that was moderated. It was more like a Discord server league than anything, but the idea of setting up matches and playing top 50 teams for points and then ranks was the same thing. So that would be my introduction to esports, I guess, and then I super got into it in BO2 because content, nade shot, and scump. So that's my answer for that.
Mine, well, yeah, mine's probably Black Ops 2 watching nade shot and scump. I think it mostly came off of just like the league play option in the game. Like I'd play it with just random friends.
Was the tweet I sent out earlier talking about accessibility?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was accessible. It was something different. I wanted to try it. I got a rank for it. I was like, why not? And then through that, I ended up finding content creators, Nade Shot, Scumpy, all them, and just enjoyed it ever since. Besides my
because I'd always, like I mentioned earlier, I've always been a competitive player. I've played traditional sports. I played baseball. I've always wanted to be a professional baseball player. I played Call of Duty. Whenever I realized professional Call of Duty was a thing, I wanted to do that because that interested me. There's a sense of accomplishment whenever I beat somebody and actually get something in return for it other than a you won icon popping up on your screen. And then BO2 was the perfect storm of one first COD champs. They promoted the fuck out of it. Which, promotion, that was a topic last week. Haha. People got into COD esports because you promoted $1 million tournament. That's crazy. Accessibility to the option to play in league play, because game battles is, 1, not very well known, and 2, it's kind of a pain in the ass to play.
Yeah.
And then 3, in tandem with the growth of COD esports and BO2, I mentioned content creators that also did that. Most people probably knew Scump before they knew Scump played competitive COD. They probably just knew him as a pub stomper, and then whenever they realized what he actually did, he probably brought easily 500,000 fans to COD.
Right.
That's how I got into esports, competitive sniping, and then COD esports actual with Black Ops 2's competitive system, streaming system, and then league play system. And then the content surrounding Black Ops 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got into it like right around the end of BO2, but I mainly dived into it during Ghost and AW. Like that was whenever I took my big dive into it and like started playing with teams, started playing in team scrims and tournaments and all that.
Like, I didn't fully understand league play in BO2. I just kind of played it because it was something different. I never actually followed the breadcrumbs to the competitive actual, but I later found out. But anywho, last topic on the Q&A is how does content help teams? And I feel like this is a question directed at me asking people to make content, but content helps teams because it separates teams from being Chicago Optic or Paris Legion. And that is my answer.
That's a solid answer. I mean, look at what we just said with Black Ops 2, Scumpy and Nade Shot.
Content...
I mean, obviously, we're not going to be on that level anytime soon, but that's like them making content got Optic bigger.
It gave people a reason to care about the players beyond they were good at the game. Like, why is Atlanta FaZe popular? Because of the decade of content that was made with FaZe Clan before the CDL existed. In BO4, why did people care about Team Reciprocity, which was Johnny Dens, Wuskin, Dylan, and Zed? Because Reciprocity made the Wreck in Vegas YouTube series where they basically just documented the team living in their fucking mansion in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
They made content around the team, which in turn gave that team fans, and then some of those fans just latched onto players like Zed, and then just continued following him through his career. Like Envy. Envy is more leaning towards the traditional, we're just good at everything, so care about us thing, but they do make content. Especially considering Post Malone is one of their owners now. Like, you'd be fucking stupid not to make content when Post Malone is one of your owners.
Right.
Why did people like 100 Thieves? It's not because Nadeshot was good at COD, it's because Nadeshot was the COD father for Call of Duty content. Like, no disrespect to Nade, but I'd be lying if I said he was a top tier player. HBR. He was actually good at S&D and Ghosts, but that's like the one upside to that. 100 Thieves is popular because of all the fucking work Nadeshot put in making content behind the scenes. That's the one thing I think Killa said it when he was streaming one day, is like, Nade may not have been good at COD, but he was planning for the future 5 years before we knew what the fuck to do. Right. Nadeshot was making content in 2010 and we were laughing at him. Who the fuck is laughing now? And like, that's coming from Adam Killa Sloss, one of the most blunt people on the planet.
Yeah.
So basically, content helps teams because if you're good at COD, but you don't show people why you're good at COD, no one fucking cares. Like, Scump was one of the best players in COD, competitive COD, but Scump is more popular for being a pub stomper, or was more popular, like his videos back when he made BO2 content. He didn't get 8 million views on a video called That Trigger Finger because he was good at competitive esports. He was just a fucking nasty COD player that happened to transition his fans over to watching him succeed. And then also, let's talk about the golden days of Optic Gaming as my last touching point. I've never had a reason to care about PUBG or League of Legends or Dota 2 other than the times that Optic Gaming entered those esports back when that was the good team.
Mm-hmm.
So Optic Gaming, a basically console FPS roster entering League of Legends, they had an immediate fan base in League of Legends because of the decade of content they made prior. Yeah, so, my TLDR on that is, you're not going to have fans if you don't give people a reason to watch what you do. And, like, of course, there are instances where people are just naturally get views because they're good at something, like your Shrouds, like I said. But teams in general, organizations in general, if they make content, they'll generate fans outside of the esport they're competing in, and then those fans will follow that team into the esport. Because that's why Optic Gaming got so popular, because people that watched Scump and Nadeshot's YouTube videos found out what they actually did, and then they started watching Optic Gaming. So, it's basically a repeating cycle of fan retention and fan conversion. But that is my answer for that. Do you have anything else to add on that before we end? Because Lethal's itching to get in here.
No, I feel like we pretty much covered that one.
Without anything else said, check out the podcast on YouTube. Check out the description for our links to the audio platforms. Audio platform listeners, thank you guys for bearing with us for another hour of ranting. I am Why the Tuck on all socials. TJ is at TJ's Rice on all socials. If you want to check up on us, leave questions in the comments. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere that I have an ability to see what you're saying to me. Ask me questions for the next week's podcast. Leave me topic ideas. Last notes from the topic. Paris has announced their roster. They're still 12th. GAs are necessary but annoying. And content makes you more popular within the realm of esports. So, on that note, I'm going to say goodbye, farewell. DJ, now it's your turn to say goodbye to the lovely people.
Goodbye.
And until next time, this has been episode 2 of the Torching Time podcast. Thank you.